Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I'm your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Mandala Mama herself, Sandy Reevy.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
This is episode 129 and January 11th. Happy Monday, everybody. Let's get right into it. We have Monday, January 11th, Mercury conjunct Jupiter.
Can see the distant shore.
Tuesday, January 12th, Mercury square Uranus.
Pop, 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 pop. Pen, paper, pencil.
Tuesday, January 12th, new moon in Capricorn.
Rebuild what was destroyed.
Then Sandy's astrologically interesting day, Wednesday, January 13th, Mars squares Saturn
Falling rock.
and Venus trine Uranus.
Surprise.
Thursday, January 14th, Uranus stations direct
Time to get up and get on.
and Sun conjunct Pluto.
Clean your battery heads.
Then Saturday, January 16th, Mercury in the shadow.
Until March 13th.
And Sandy's favorite day, Sunday, January 17th, Jupiter square Uranus.
Let's go. Try to laugh.
Then Talisman times Sandy has coming up Saturday, January 16th to benefit from past occurrences and to be protected on all short journeys. Then Sunday, January 17th to know the difference between spiritual and worldly riches. Then on the horizon, we have many, many things we'd like to share with you. One in particular is the invite only 7-day intention challenge. So make sure to get your talismans, get them repaired, and register your talisman for your invite. Then in our house, Sandy and I are going to discuss mandalas and mandorlas. So stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions. And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear and your heart is fierce. And so you finally know you control where you go. Hello, Mandala Mama.
I love that. I'm coloring all the time.
You really are, and they're looking fabulous. And speaking of which, so going direct to all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening to us, being here with us, really communicating with us what you like about the podcast and your comments. This is so much fun. This is why we do this. And you also, in doing all of your mandala drawings, you also, I guess, cut some of them up and
Right.
put them as gifts in our kind of like holiday gift bag for all of your subscribers. So this is a new subscriber of yours saying, "Dear Sandy and Alex, thank you for the wonderful presents. So very, very thoughtful of you. The talisman is so very special to me. I know that it will bring big benefits with lots of positive energy. I'm really looking forward to using the 2021 pocket planner. So helpful already. I also love the beautiful hand colored card, making beautiful from crazy." Sandy's true words to live by. "Most of all, thank you for all that you do for me and for so many others. I am so blessed to have you and your wisdom in my life. Looking forward to 2021 with you. CCM."
CCM.
Signed, CCM.
All right. I'm excited. No,
Are you
yeah.
trying to figure out who that one is?
Yeah. Um, the because I cut them up because I wanted people to use them as bookmarkers.
Right. And
Yeah.
even in the planner, it works perfectly and it sticks out and it's really bright and beautiful. And yeah, and we actually only have a few left of the pocket planners,
I
maybe a
think there's
couple.
3 over there.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on into the transits because this is a big week that we have ahead. So any first, first looks from Sandy the astrologer?
Well, we start with, can we see the distant shore? The last week was a big week. This is a big week. Um, let's get into it.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Monday, January 11th, Mercury conjunct Jupiter.
Yeah, can we see the distant shores? Yes, we can. But how do we get there? But the idea is let's just picture them. Let's picture them in our minds. Let's just vision them. We don't have to have the plan yet, but we can at least imagine,
Mhm.
right? And that's what we start off the week with on Monday, um, which is interesting as we were pre-chatting before we started recording,
Mhm.
maybe because of this, it's really clear to me some of the things that we need to do, and we may just offer in the next couple weeks, reopen up our Bali retreat. We don't know when we're going yet, but just for a,
To
you
see
know,
those distant shores, you
yeah,
know?
like to put down a deposit. You're not going to lose your deposit. You can use it for something else. But the idea is to see the distant shore. It's like we don't know when we're going to go. We don't know how we're going to get there. We don't know anything, but start being that hopeful planner.
Yes, yes.
That's
Start
what,
building the ship that you're gonna take to those distant shores ahead. Yeah, I love that idea. I'm willing to do that.
all right.
So,
So let's
we'll stay
open
tuned.
up.
Mhm.
Yeah, maybe in the next week or so we'll announce it again, but I really think that will be hopeful and optimistic for people to think that because we had closed obviously our Bali uh,
Mhm.
retreat for last year. We never, what 3 weeks before we were leaving, we
Right,
had to shut it down.
right.
And so those people are going, and I want to open up some more space.
And what
Um,
I've loved too is that all of the signups that we had for this past year, everyone's been so positive. Everyone's "Oh man, this is just gonna make me wanna go to Bali even more." Really staying home and feeling that, like, that barrier, that limitation. This is gonna, make me completely enjoy that new land that I'm about to discover. So, I love that. So, can you see the distant shore? Will you come to Bali with us? So, we'd love for you to come. Also, if you just are totally gung ho and you just want to go ahead and email me, alex@intentionbeats.com. Let me know and I can open up that spot for you. So let's move on. Tuesday, January 12th, we have two transits. The first is Mercury square Uranus.
This happens at 9 a.m. And I wrote PPP, and then it was like pop, pop, pop. And then it was like pen, paper, pencil, because, it's like things are popping off quickly. Write these down, least you forget. So it's, Mercury, the planet of thought and mental activity, is square Uranus, is about a quick doses.
hmm
So things happening very fast here. So that's why I called it PPPPP
Yeah.
or pop, 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 pop.
Made me think about snap, crackle, and pop, but we're going just all pops here. And the second transit is the new moon in Capricorn.
Yeah, this is at 23 degrees of Capricorn. This is at 11 p.m. exactly here in Chicago. All the times are in Chicago. Rebuild what was destroyed. So use what resources you can from the rubble,
Mm,
which reminds me that, as a bricklayer's daughter and as a bricklayer's sister, my
mhm.
brother took over my dad's business, and actually bricklayer's aunts,
Right.
um, that, you know, really some things that are old can be remade, but you have to remake them, you have to reuse them in a different format,
Mm,
right? So things have been destroyed. Its
right.
new moon is at the 23 degrees of Capricorn,
And I
where
l I
that
like I
Jupiter.
like that earth energy that we have going with this new moon because it is about, maintaining progress and trying to figure out, okay, like, how can I rebuild from this?
Well, Alex, this was the same time frame last year when we did our retreat called "To Build New Roots,"
Right.
because this was the same aspect. Well, it was not the sun and the moon, but it was the Saturn Pluto hit at this degree. And so here is the brand new moon 1 year later, literally 1 year later at the same degree. So it is rebuild, use what resources you can from the rubble. And
Hmm.
that means what has occurred this whole last year. There are
Right.
things that you can benefit. Let go of some, clean it up, put it out by the front door, put it out in the garbage. But there are some things that you can use.
Oh my gosh, and yeah, that actually reminds me about the full moon that we experienced while we were in Mexico at the retreat where we were building our new roots because we had no idea what was coming up ahead, but you know, in all of your teachings were like, we don't know what's coming up, but it is big. It is going to change the planet. Are you ready? Because you're a participant in it, you know? So, and then seeing that full moon come up over the mountains, over that island that's in the distant shore. My goodness, this is all coming together. But
It was an eclipse.
oh, that's right, it was an eclipse. So beautiful. We had our fireplace. We had our bonfire. We had all of our seats around there, and we just sat in sacred space with each other, just watching that rise up over the mountains.
That was our closing ceremony of what they had built boxes out of wood and clay. And we had put seeds in that. We had gone down earlier and dug holes and put these boxes in the sand
Hmm.
because we were building and seeding and planting new. And even at this point, here we are at the new moon a year later, and you know what has grown, what hasn't grown, water, what has taken seed, what has taken root. We
Right,
may not even know what it is yet, right?
right,
New moons are a good time to set intention, but it's not coming to fruition yet. It's not time to pick the fruit.
right.
No, yeah, not yet. So anyway, really interesting to um, pay attention to this time.
Yeah. And Wednesday, January 13th, is actually your astrological interest day.
Yeah, this is called falling rock or ice.
That's the
There's
Mars
signage.
square Saturn. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, Mars square Saturn at 5:02 a.m. It's literally you see the sign. I'm telling you, there is a sign there that says it's posted, falling rock or ice, step away slowly.
Hmm.
You'd rather watch from a distance than be at the center of it. Because this is Mars, the planet of movement, is now in his detriment, Taurus, square 90 degrees. This is tense. This is um, coming from kind of like when we say, I got T-boned, kind of coming from out from the side, didn't see it coming.
Right, but I
It's
mean, it still can be coming from that 90-degree angle if it's falling straight down on top of you.
Mhm.
So that's that, you didn't see it coming type of energy.
Yeah, so it's like pay attention, don't get caught in the in between, right? It's almost like, do you ever do this? And I think I might have mentioned it on our year forecast that Susan and you and I did. Um, where, if you're in a busy highway, you're not going to walk between a car in a concrete flower bed. It's like don't get caught in between this rock and this hard place.
Hmm.
So, kind of stay full of tension, a full attention.
Full of attention. Okay, got it.
Yeah, because it's tension. There's tension. So be tension. Be ahead of it. It's like A starts the alphabet. Be in front of the tension. A.
Okay.
Never thought of it like that.
And Wednesday, still the same day, Wednesday, January 13th, your astrologically interesting day. We also have Venus trine Uranus. Surprise!
Surprise! I like this. What? When? Why? Did the landslide uncover a long lost love? Because it's like, hey, you Capricorns, someone's planning your birthday. This is a surprise. So it's a really interesting day that we start the day off with this crush, and we end up this day maybe with a long lost crush. Huh, interesting.
Maybe.
But I could use that same word, you know, the crush and then a love crush. Wasn't my plan, but let's see. Let's see.
And Thursday, January 14th, we have 2 transits, Uranus stationing direct.
This is at 2:36 a.m. Time to get up and get on. Literally, you may want to, well, I'm not going to tell you not to set your alarm on this day, but this day may be a day where you do feel very energetic and you get up early because, this might be when you're due back to work or you feel like you should, or there's something different now that you may not be used to it yet. But I'll give you till May 1st to get used to this Uranus, the planet of liberation, the planet of freedom, the planet that wants change, that it is now moving from 6 degrees where he has been stuck there. And when I say stuck, I mean stopped because, a slow moving planet, which is the outer planets, he's been at this degree for 6 weeks.
Hmm,
So, if anybody has this, a 6 degree Taurus sun, moon, Mercury, if any personal planet there or a sensitive point like a angle, um, this Uranus has just been sitting there for 7 weeks. So, but by May 1st, it moves into new territory. Probably between now and May 1st, we will be doing that Uranus in Taurus Talisman webinar.
right.
So I know it's not on the website yet, but keep your eyes open for when we announce that. Um, but if anybody has planets between 10 degrees and 15 degrees of fixed signs, and I say fixed because Uranus goes between 10 and 15. These are the new areas that Uranus will move into. So like I said, any planets or sensitive points. It's like, up, raise your hand because you've been spotted. So there's an excitement change on his way. And you see my hand being raised.
That is exciting.
I've got two, and like I mentioned in the Q1, that to pay attention to intention beads. That's actually my Venus and midheaven are sitting right at 12 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus is hitting. We've been watching this come in, Alex, for about 3 years, and we've been
Right?
anticipating this. And so we know that there's going to be some change, which is why we've got a new website. We've got some new, we've got,
Yeah, we're making it exciting and we're giving surprises away. Yeah.
yeah. So anybody that has any of these, like I say, planets or sensitive point, get ready for change and be on the excited line and not the fear line,
Mhm.
because you got to just flip the coin from fear of instability to the other side of excitability. And you know that's still instability,
Right. And
when
I think
things
that
move
that's
on
mainly just a
change.
shift, you know, because to be in the fear is not allowing the unknown. It's not allowing the that mystery in. Because once you allow that mystery in and you accept it and you know that that change is happening, it's imminent, that's where you can shift from that fearfulness and that, you know, almost like nervousness to that excitement. So
Yeah,
I like that.
it's yeah, it's seriously, for some of the um my subscribers that are having a Uranus on a planet or a sensitive angle, they got the talisman. This is exciting.
Yes, I
So I'm
love that one.
change that around because hey, a scary roller coaster ride. Well, you heard how I called it, a scary roller coaster ride. I
Mhm.
could say an exciting roller coaster ride. Which one would you rather get on?
Yeah, it's 2 sides to the same coin
Yeah.
because there also is fear involved when you're excited, you know? but
It's
but
still a roller coaster ride.
yeah, it's the tingly kind of anticipatory, fear that goes into it.
And really,
So
and now that it's moving direct, it's like, it's time to move on. Like, what have you decided? Start
mhm,
moving. Uranus is. Yeah.
yes. And same day, so, Thursday, January 14th, Sun conjunct Pluto. This
So
is an interesting one.
this happens every year. Sun comes around and hits Pluto. This is at 8:19 a.m. Clean your battery heads. Remove the rust, all contaminants, all poisons. Get to the raw power.
Yes?
Burn, burn, do a fire ceremony here. Get to your raw vitality.
Yes.
It
And
is
I think that that's such a well, because I'm going to be talking a little bit about this book later on in, our house. I've been reading this book, I just finished it. It's called Owning Your Own Shadow, and it's understanding the dark side of the psyche. And here, Pluto and this isn't an astrology book. This is more of like kind of like a psychological book. And Pluto is that shadow that we're talking about because it is so powerful. And what they discuss in this book is that our shadow side is everything that we push away. So it's not only the bad sides of us, but it's those like sides that people like will give us compliments like, "Oh my gosh, you're so, organized, you're so loving, you're so this, you're so that." And if we push those away and we do not accept those, that is actually being pushed into our shadow side. So I
Ooh.
just thought that that was really interesting because I always thought of a shadow side as like the dark side, the evil side. And it's not really like that. It's just what we do not choose to show within our own light.
Mhm,
So I thought that that was really interesting because they say that once you can tap into this shadow essence, you are tapping into one of the like you're pretty much plugging into the outlet of vitality there as well because within the shadow there is so much that we is unseen that is untapped
mhm.
it's a huge treasure chest that we can open up and crack open.
Well, I
So
can't wait to hear more in our house. Stay tuned.
yeah. So Saturday, January 16th, Mercury in his shadow.
Yes, until March 13th, prepare to do these things again. Prepare to reconsider. Um, this Mercury will get to 26 degrees of Aquarius and move back to 11 degrees of Aquarius. So at this date, Saturday the 16th, he moves into 11 degrees of Aquarius, which is why it's considered his shadow. He will retread these degrees. He's not retrograde till the end of the month. Let's make that clear. It is not retrograde. He's not moving backwards, but he just moved into the shadow. As
Territory. Yes,
as you
yes.
said, so in between, right? So between Thursday and Saturday, maybe you need to buy this book.
We're working on our shadow side. I'm
Work on your
I'm good
shadow.
with that. I'm happy with that. I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
So your favorite day is actually this upcoming Sunday, January 17th, Jupiter square Uranus.
This happens at 4:50 p.m. Let's go. Try to laugh. Now, this is about big surprises. And, Jupiter wants to expand anything it touches, it's square. So it kind of comes in as a shock and as a surprise. But I see this as, uh, um, big surprises. I don't see it negative. It's almost like a day of anxiousness. I don't know if that's anxiety. Is anxious and anxiety, is that just a different way to say
I think
that?
so. Yeah.
To feel anxious to get things going, to be resilient and steady, to get going. It reminds me, Alex, remember when I started driving after after being quarantined for like, I don't know,
Yes.
10 months or something,
Yes.
because you would have the car all the time. And when I got in the car the first time and I would push the accelerator to go, the car would jump forward
Y
because I didn't have my, like, leverage properly tuned in to go slow on the accelerator, and I would go, and it would go, like, and our we would go bounce forward and come back, and we would laugh, and so this is reminding me of something that lurches forward.
Mhm.
So, is it something that you're laughing about, or is it something that kind of, you know, gave you whiplash? But,
That's interesting because Jupiter is kind of the jolly planet that would be willing to laugh at those, sudden, abrupt changes that go ahead and happen. But yeah, I think that, hey, humor is by far necessary to keep our humanity intact
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, so there's just something about, moving forward quickly in a lurch. Anyway, and I've got that as my favorite day.
Lurching forward with a big belly laugh. How about that?
It's something that just makes you laugh. I mean, it's like it's just a big deal.
Maybe
And
listen to a
we're all
comedy show that day.
and we are going to only have one of these passes. Sometimes, Jupiter will retrograde back over and square Uranus again. It will not.
Mm,
It's only going
okay.
to get one pass of this.
All right. Well, let's move into talisman times. You have 0 finished up. However, we do have 3 upcoming, and the first is to benefit from past occurrences.
I first collect what is due me up to this point. Then I conclude my association with said matter. I am happy with these results.
Mm,
So this is early in the morning, and I'm going after the first decan of Capricorn. And thank you, Nina Griffin, for pointing this out. It's about happiness, joy, closure. Um, and of course, the moon is applying to a sextile to Venus. So, really nice to benefit of something of closing something up, wrapping something up.
yeah. And I think that even if the past occurrences are difficult, are challenging, are, traumatic, that we can still benefit from those because, we were going through a few books today and in discussing what we wanted to talk about in our house. And one of those is the Jungian symbolism in astrology book that we like to dissect a whole lot.
Mhm.
And they said that, and even Jung said a lot that you need to be experienced in order to be a spiritual guide. You yourself need to be experienced. You need to have these past occurrences in order to not only benefit you to really take on, how your healing will be, but also to show others the way and to help guide them along their path.
Can I just read it? I found it real quick. It's one
Oh,
sentence.
sure.
But as Jung pointed out, we are all limited by the range of our experience, and one cannot take a patient where one has not been oneself.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's what you're referring to. And I know right where it was because it's highlighted in my book.
Yes, and I wish I could, like, just, like, pull on quotes like that, but I do not have that type of memory. So, Saturday, January 16th, your next talisman time is to be protected on all short journeys.
Yep, this is the moon at yeah, about 9 degrees coming up over the horizon in the 26th lunar mansion at 0 degrees of Pisces. To be protected on all short journeys. I get around safely from my door to your door. My travels around my neighborhood, village, or town happens to be protected. I am safe in this vehicle
Mm,
because it's Mercury and it's because it's also, well, the moon is in a sextile to Venus, not Mercury, sorry. Because it's the 26th lunar mansion, that it's about having protection nearby.
right.
So this has to be something that you're moving very quickly to, but you're using, you're either walking, you're using a bike, you're using a car, you're using a
Right. You're using the vehicle, which is like really anything that you can use to just transport,
it's not
you
a
know.
plane, it's not a jet, it's not a
Mhm.
boat, it's something that you get to your village and to around to your neighborhood.
Mhm. Yeah. And to have that confidence in even, especially if any of the bikers are out there, when you are biking on the street, it can be a dangerous place. But the best thing that you can have, aside from a helmet, of course, but the best thing that you can have on your own side is the confidence and the awareness of where things are and how things are moving. So that just
Yeah.
to me, I like best the protection on bikes because I there's no padding. So Sunday, January 17th, you have the final talisman time this week to know the difference between spiritual and worldly riches.
I hold both and all riches of the universe. These are what I hold in my hand of material matter and what I can feel surrounding me. I have them all.
Hmm.
Um, this is the third decan in Capricorn. Thank you, Nina Griffin, which is about intensity of desires, control, accumulation. Um, and it's about, they talk about the holy book in this decan, the third decan of Capricorn, where it's the tale of the fish, which the fish suggests worldly riches and abundance, and that it's pursuing spiritual goods at the same time.
Hmm,
So it's material,
interesting.
material and spiritual.
Yes. And the symbol of the fish is going to be coming back in when we discuss in our house. So we have two other talismans that we want to describe. The orbit of the month is I desire the unusual, and this is a Uranus style talisman that is about desiring the things that are extraordinary, that are out out there, and
That are unusual.
mhm.
Like, what did I tell you today? Like, I was even like, oh my gosh, I think, and I didn't have not minded this quarantine, but today I was like, yeah. I mean, I even just crazy. I did something unusual today because it was like, okay, Saturday, I didn't really have we didn't have an event. Of course, I don't have clients on Saturday. I don't have any talismans to make today. I knew we had to do our podcast and I do all kinds of other work, but I got up and got in a candlelit bathtub, bubble bath, by the way.
Ooh.
When I got out of my pajamas and before I got into my outfit for the day, before I even had my coffee. So, and that's where I was in there just picturing myself in Bali again. And that's where I was like, I want to give others hope that we
Mhm.
can be in a place of peace and we can desire the unusual because I'm
Yes.
getting tired of usual.
Yeah, just a bit.
I even am. And I've got my
Right.
moon in the 12th house.
And so the other talisman we wanted to talk about was the Great Conjunction webinar and talisman. So this is now available for download. As soon as you order, we get your talisman ready, we print your card, and we send it off to you so that not only will you have two different webinars that you can look at, research, understand where this Jupiter Saturn conjunction works in your own specific chart, and you get a private session emailed to you from Sandy going over specific details of your own chart. So this talisman is is very unique. We will be having some more talisman making webinars happening later this year, but this great conjunction was huge for 2020.
It was huge. Everybody needs this. And I made a limited number of beads at that time. Everyone needs this one. This is about moving from the earth economy into the air economy And you also get like 3 or 4 pages of specific dates and descriptions on what to expect for 2021, just with the Jupiter Saturn. Um, so especially if anyone has their their perfected Time Lord of either Jupiter or Saturn, need this. I think everybody needs this actually.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. I received a picture from one of our attendees with the bracelet, and she had a pretty petite wrist too, and it looked fabulous on her. Just very light, very airy, because it is on this sterling silver. And the message that she sent to me was, "The pictures do not do this justice" on the
Oh,
website.
we hear
So
that all the time. It's
we
like,
do.
well, I could probably like, remember we used to have a photographer and I used to go into a studio with all my products, all my intention beads? It would take a
Right.
whole day.
And the photographer thought we were crazy because we would photograph every single product, as opposed to the way that normal photographers work. They just say, "Oh, I'm gonna take one picture of this, like, soda can, and then the company's gonna use it over and over and over again." We don't. We take one picture of each product.
Of the one exact thing you're gonna get.
Right.
There's no guess here.
Right. So, moving on to the horizon, we have finished up our January forecast broadcast that is on Facebook Live. This is a very special broadcast because it's 2 hours long. It's a very special one where Sandy and Susan went over all of 2021, specifically looking at January's dates. But they went through the entire year, giving you their favorite days, their challenging days, what they thought was, coming up and what was, on the horizon. Also, this is the first time that we've had a cheat sheet for you all. And this is a PDF download that you can get on our website. And directly from this PDF, you can write it into your calendar. You don't even have to listen to the 2-hour broadcast. You
Oh,
have
good.
you can, and I recommend it because you're going to learn a whole lot more. But if you're strapped for time, download the cheat sheet, and you have all of those dates and a little bit of the meaning that Sandy and Susan write in there for you, so that you'll be able to follow along with the astrological dates. Then January.
So
Go
that's
ahead.
$10.
Yes, the cheat sheets are $10 and it's immediate download. So it is I as soon as you check out, it is in your hands. You can download it, print it, you can add it straight to your calendar.
But then let's talk about the February, the next one we'll have, or throughout the rest of the year, it'll be 1 hour.
Sure.
And then next one is January 30th. It's a Saturday at 10 o'clock. Again,
Yes.
Susan and I go through just February. And again, we will have a cheat sheet for February. I did my portion today. So
Yay.
Susan texted me today. I said, okay, my February's in there. And she said, oh, pressure's on.
That's that's very impressive. Susan's normally, pretty gung ho about those types of things. So I'm impressed.
The Pisces beat a Capricorn.
Yes.
Whoa.
Whoa. Because the Pisces is floundering around wondering what else to
Like,
do
what
in
can I
her.
do? I'll do more work. Yeah.
So yes, we would love for you to come January 30th. This is the CWS February forecast. The links are in the description here, or you can head over to our Facebook, which is facebook.com/intention beads, all one word. So I wanted to talk about our invite only. This is our first and one of a kind event. It's a 7-day intention challenge. And what this is a we're coming together daily via virtual Zoom calls. And for 30 minutes a day, you and your talisman wearers are going to be learning more and more about creating and manifesting with the talisman. So I'm really excited about this. Every single day, we're going to have a new theme to talk about. Everyone's going to have a breakout room that they go to discuss and to announce their intention and their affirmation. so that the people around them are listening, are experiencing it, and are supporting them.
Yeah, it's not so much a discussion group on their part, right? Like you said, I have a teaching moment, and then depending how many we have, we are completely open to have as many. We are not limited,
Mhm.
but you're going to have your intention bracelet with you. You need your card with you. You're going to repeat the intention. You're going to repeat your affirmation, and then you're going to get to your gratitude piece. And then we're going to move on to the next person. The idea is to have circle because, see, we would be at a retreat right now, and I wanted to
Right?
have a mini retreat. And I'm like, I don't know how many retreat. I don't know how. I can't. I I I can't wrap my head around that, but I can certainly do a 7-day challenge for honing in your intention of what you said you wanted, whether it was
Right.
personal intention bracelet, whether it was a universal intention bracelet, but these are the all clay bracelets that that I've made.
Yes. So we are so excited about this. This
Yeah.
is, again, invite only. So if you have received your invite, you will be receiving it from my email, alex@intentionbeads.com. And if you have not received it and you are wondering why not, you can go ahead and email me to alex@intentionbeads.com. Um, so I think that's it for On the Horizon. Let's move into our house. So let's move into our house. I'm really excited. We have a very interesting discussion that I'm very excited for. We are going to be talking about the difference of mandalas and mandorlas. So I think a lot of people have not probably heard of mandorlas. Mandorlas. I don't exactly know how to pronounce it, but mandorlas. I'm pretty sure that's it.
I honestly have never heard of it.
So let's start with mandalas. Tell us about mandalas.
We've heard of mandalas. It's the word mandala is a Sanskrit word for a circle. And it's a combination of the root word manda, which means essence, with the suffix la, meaning container. So really, it's a circle, but a mandala is a container of essence. And it's this symbolism that mandalas are frequently used by Buddhist monks for focusing attention and is used as a spiritual teaching tool. So, mandalas have appeared in many cultures, including the circular Aztec calendars, Islamic tile designs, and the Christian rose windows. The resurgence in the modern Western world is largely credited to the psychotherapist Carl Jung. In his autobiography, Jung wrote, I sketched every morning in a notebook a small circular drawing, a mandala, which seemed to correspond to my inner situation at the time. Only gradually did I discover what the mandala really is: the self, the wholeness of the personality, which, if all goes well, is harmonious. So I really liked what Carl Jung wrote. We've been studying a lot of Carl Jung as an astrologer and as the psychotherapist. Today many people gather, and I don't know if you've ever watched one. I did. It's amazing to watch traditional Tibetan Buddhist monks make sand mandalas. They're
Mhm.
like they create it by using these colored sand, which is poured in tiny, minute portions to create various geometric forms,
And we saw that when we were in India. They would make it even out of some spices sometimes.
right? It was
It's
awesome.
beautiful.
A monk must undergo years of training before he is allowed to make a sand mandala. These sand mandalas are made in 4 quadrants by 4 monks. The monks begin sitting in the outer portions of the mandala base, facing the center. And then they stand when the mandala is halfway completed. And this mandalas are made in such a manner that the details all face the center. So imagine the details in the quadrant facing the viewer appear upside down, and those in the distant quadrant appear right side up.
Hmm.
How are they doing that? Anyway, this is another wonderful kind of reason and description that I have literally been coloring mandalas. Sometimes I finish one whole page in one evening. So I've been doing that for, I'm going to say 2 years now.
And they say that it's very healing, that mandalas are that symbol of wholeness, that symbol of well-being, that everything is in alignment and where it should be. And I thought it was really interesting that in both your resource and mine, it talks about Carl Jung drawing a mandala every morning to keep his sense of balance and his sense of duty with his studies.
It's and maybe that's why I've been doing it. And I really feel that it has been my new hobby. And I even looked into drawing my own mandalas, which is another whole investment that, I don't know if I'm have the time or the wherewithal, the girth to start something new. Since really I'm a talisman maker.
And
But
it even says here too that mandalas are devices that remind us of our unity with God and with all other living things.
Mhm.
That not necessarily means that we are whole, but we are a huge part of this whole unity, this whole universe. So I like that we are one of those little intricate pieces of sand in this huge cosmic force.
That's beautifully said. And what's so funny, I think my mom or someone has asked me many times, how do you like, oh my gosh, this one's beautiful because I have now inches
You do.
of stacks of finished mandalas, and some may take me a week. The intricate ones will take me a week to do.
And they're beautiful in the way that you pick the colors.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about because I let universe pick the colors for me. Literally put my hand over in the bag, or sometimes I have now, Alex, you should see what I have. I have like a big jar,
Mhm.
and it's actually a planter because I've got so many different tones and colors. Ding, it is dinner time. Oh, how hilarious. I have to set my Alexa to remind me to eat. Um, but, and I just put my hand in and pick it, and and that's part of my amazement
Mm.
of as I'm making the mandala, the color is picking itself, and man, it just kind of shows up for me, and I'm very proud of every single one. Now I have favorites, but I don't know if you know what I'm doing with. I got a really big, piece of a canvas, and I've been cutting some of them out, and I'm making a huge wall hanging. It'll kinda look like
Oh, that's gonna look so cool.
what I used to make as, I used to be a big quilt maker,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna be making a photo quilt with these mandalas that I've been using for 2 years. Although I made another one last night, I'm gonna color another one tonight. I've already picked it out. So, anyway, talk to us about mandadras,
Mandorlas. So
mandorla.
so the mandorla is also, a healing symbol, and it has its roots in, like, more like medieval Christianity. And the way that it came about, it's the almond-shaped segment that's made when 2 circles overlap. So what I thought of
Mhm.
a lot is, that intersection, that place right in the middle of duality. Because
Mhm.
without one, you can't have the other. There is that intersection. And so it says, it's an almond-shaped segment that is made when 2 circles partly overlap. It's not by chance that mandorla is also the Italian word for almond. This symbol signifies nothing less than an overlap of opposites that we have been, innately given. Generally, the mandorla is described as the overlap of heaven and earth. There is
Mm.
not one of us who is not torn by competing demands of heaven and earth. The mandorla instructs us how to engage in reconciliation. Christ and the Virgin are often portrayed with framework of the mandorla around. This reminds us that we partake in both nature of heaven and earth. Christianity makes a wonderful affirmation of the feminine element of life by giving a place in the mandorla. and the Virgin sits there as often as Christ does. So, um, also it so when these two circles really come together, it is those that sense of like duality, sense of this place where, things intersect. And earlier in the chapter of this, it's
Well,
called
what's the name of the book?
sure, it's Owning Your Own Shadow, and it's by Robert A. Johnson. And I actually heard about this book from Beth Davis when we did an event with her. And so earlier in the chapter, they broke down the root word of religion. And so it's of course like a Latin-based word, and meaning again or to reinitiate. And religion is, or that, Latin root word was to bridge or to connect, um to pair. So it's about pairing again. And that's, something that was actually healing for me to hear, because now I think there's a big charge when it comes to religion, because that sometimes, religion is used as kind of like a harmful tool towards others. It's not necessarily about the unity, and it's not about that intersection of like where we come together and what we have in
Yeah.
common.
It's more like judgment.
Right. And it's yeah, and it is sometimes shown as like more of a separatism, especially like when it comes to different religions.
Mhm.
So and I don't like that being so secular, because it's like we're all here to connect again. We're here like, this
Yeah.
is me connecting to um the divinity of that's surrounding, but also the divinity within myself. And so then it goes on to talk about it is good to remember that the old symbol for Christ, the two lines indicating a stylized fish, is also a mandorla. By, by definition, Christ himself is the intersection of the divine and the human. He is the prototype for the reconciliation of opposites and our guide out of the realm of conflict and duality. Early Christians would make themselves known to one another in this way. Upon meeting, one would scratch a small circle in the dust. The other would make a second circle that was slightly overlapping, thus completing a mandorla. This
Hmm.
way of greeting, at the time when Christians were severely persecuted, was powerful and eloquent. It also has meaning for us today. If one has a statement to make, it is good to invite another statement, generally one coming from the shadow, and thus making a mandorla that is greater than either point of view alone. So really like kind of like coming together, it doesn't have to be right on. It doesn't have to be this like you complete me, I complete you type of like, exchange or relationship. It is about like where can we find the similarity? Where can we really intersect and find this divinity here? So yeah, I enjoyed that book. I finished it last night, and um yeah.
And you know what I started again? My mythology.
Ooh.
Again, seek the unusual. I finished my mythology class this summer, past summer, and it was like, you know what? Alex, I opened up a spreadsheet. Did you hear what I said? I went to Google Docs. It's a thing it's like a pyramid thing in color. And then I clicked that, and then I found a spreadsheet, and I started spreadsheet about because I wanted to really put those stories into like into a spreadsheet, into a written and
That'll be great. That'll be a way for you to, keep it organized and keep it easy and, in your own words too.
and so what my first, started back at chapter 1 and they talk about chaos, right? Now this is mythology and this is the beginning of the world. And that how Gaia, the earth, was created out of chaos with Uranus, which was the sky. And so that these were the two places that connected. And, literally, it is that Uranus laid the sky, laid upon the earth, Gaia, and they had children. It was called the Heroes Gamos. And so it was like this sacred marriage. anyway, you're kind of reminding me of really like the whole just the word universe.
Mhm.
And that, you know, in astrology, the ninth house is the house of religion and spirituality. Well, isn't it interesting that they hold religion and spirituality they represent the ninth house together because
Right.
it equates to what you believe in. You
And
can believe
how you connect on that and that on that higher plane.
you can believe in both.
Mhm. Yeah, and even further in this book, they do discuss, like, the shadow side of even religion, of, you know, in, say, a Catholic mass, there as much as is discussed about light and the like, kinda like more like the ego being, um, so is the shadow. I mean, it is about sacrifice. It is about these, like, kind of I don't wanna say like cannibalism, but it's like it's that eating of the flesh and the blood. That's also like in consideration, like that's a very shadow side part
Mhm,
of that mass. But in this book they talk about a lot about, the bigger the light, there's an equal amount of shadow.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
just really
I found it interesting because, in making talismans, we have to align an incense to a particular planet.
Mhm.
And, the frankincense and myrrh has to do with Saturn. And it's the frankincense and myrrh that we smell. I mean, I was born and became Catholic. You were born and became Catholic. And that's frankincense and myrrh is what you smell in the Catholic um, ceremonies. That's the ritual. So it's almost like they're consecrating in a ritual, what they are asking for, is like this long endurance. And, I mean, yes, being in the Catholic religion and knowing not so much of the Bible, but knowing the sacraments, um,
Mhm.
and all of the holidays that you need to fast, and the Lent and the Good Fridays and the walking up the stairs and the all of the not to eat before you couldn't eat. It used to be, I don't know, 12 hours before you would take the Holy Communion. I mean, so many rules and regulations in that just for the purpose of respect
Hmm.
and prayer, and which I think is affirmation is. Right? The affirmation to me is the prayer. The mandala, the talisman, the incense is all in relation to a higher being. Whether it's spiritual or religion, doesn't matter, but believe in something.
Yeah, and make that connection. So
Can I just end with this?
sure.
One of my favorite shows, Hamilton, and in one of that, he says to Aaron Burr, what does he say? He says, stand for, he just asks him to I forget the exact words, but it's just part of the song. He says, just stand for something.
Oh, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything?
No, that's John Mellencamp.
Oh.
This was Hamilton saying to Aaron Burr, you got to stand for something, because Aaron Burr would always change to go into a route that he felt that he was better suited for, where he could win. It's like, if you don't stand for nothing, just stand for something. Anyway, maybe I'll catch it next time I watch it. Maybe
Yeah.
that's tonight's plan.
Well, it does.
Anyway,
I quick looked it up. It says those who stand for nothing fall for anything. No, that's not it.
that isn't that what John Mellencamp said?
It says here, if you stand for nothing, Burr, what will you fall for?
Okay, well then that's said that way. Mellencamp says something else too, something similar to that.
Interesting. But yeah, it's smart. So anyway, Thank you all for listening to this episode of Astrological Intentions. We love you. We send you lots of love. Of course, if you have any questions or you'd like to get in contact with us, alex@intentionbeads.com. Also, make sure to send out our podcast to whoever you think would enjoy it. So, oh, and don't forget about those reviews. We love the 5-star ones. So, until next time, see you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Listening to our rambling.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is free.